Hello viewers and welcome to a bit of action on Overpass, this time running on the Nintendo Switch, which has been released today. And so I thought I would show you guys a bit of gameplay running on the console in handheld mode. Now, why have I done the video like this rather than using direct feed? I always find that the Switch is predominantly a handheld console. I tend to use the Switch on the go as a handheld console. I feel that's its strength, and I always like to show you guys the games in their authentic environment. And here, of course, you see Overpass running the tutorial. Tutorial is a good place to get started on the game. We've got the full tutorial, of course, on the PC version, but I thought, why not run it on the Switch just to see what it's like, with the graphics, and feel what the handling is like, if it's any different in this version. So here we see then, first change I noticed was you've got an American guy who's telling you, how to drive the car in the tutorial, whereas on the Switch version there's no speech. It's just silence and the text on the screen. But generally speaking, there's a bit less water, there's a bit less mud in terms of particle effects and stuff like that. Obviously, I've been running it at 60 frames on the PC. It'll be running here at 30 at a lower resolution. But generally speaking, it's pretty much all there. So what I've done here is I've fast forwarded through some of the more boring bits, as it were, when I'm constantly falling off obstacles. You can see there, a lot of the lighting's sort of there, but the water effects seem to be missing on this version. So obviously compromises have to be made, but that's for me why I haven't used this obviously in docked mode yet, but for me predominantly as I use it in the handheld. I want to show you guys in the video, working my way around then. So this is sort of a very sort of sloppy mud scene, which it's a bit firmer now to drive on, so it's different to drive without the look of the mud and the feel to it of the other versions. Compromises have been made, as you'd expect. Handling wise, I'm finding my first impressions are the lack of analog on the trigger is significant. Now the left stick controls acceleration as well as steering. I'd like to turn that off if I can, but it means you can have analog acceleration with the stick, and then of course the right stick controls the rider when you're using the quad. That sort of confuses things a bit. I would prefer to have used the right stick for acceleration and brake, and then that way I think I could have got a bit more out of the analog. You really do need some analog just to turn the wheels, but you don't want them spinning. Managed that quite tidily there. Better than I did on the actual consoles and PC. I'm working my way down as this next section where it gets a bit rocky. Get to my first tricky moment in a moment. And it's the first part where I felt the physics were a bit more, again, the physics were a bit less tactile. I wasn't feeling the environment as well on this version. And it's one of those things where you look at what developers are doing, and this isn't just about this developer, it's about developers in general. They convert the PS4 and Xbox One games directly to the Switch. And I feel that the mentality is wrong there. I don't need all that detail. In fact, I actually found it more difficult to see where I was going than I did on the console versions. With the detail that's reduced, it's hard to see where you're going sometimes. It's hard to see the detail of the rocks. And I just kind of feel like they're going for too much overall textures and detail. You can reduce it down, make it simpler. Again, I know I keep saying this, but the frame rate really does make a massive difference. And it gives you a big difference in terms of physics and fluidity. When you lose that fluidity, you lose a lot. And I think that, same with the console versions to an extent, but the Switch version, with a handheld game on the go, you want a nice soft bouncy buggy bouncing over an environment. You feel so much more fluid, so much more fun. And also the lack of analog controls on the sticks really made for a big difference. I found myself getting stuck on obstacles and objects that I wouldn't normally get stuck on, and that's also something I found a bit unusual. And we just come to one of those obstacles now. For example, this obstacle, I ran it. You know, I knew what I was doing. I ran it first time on the PC version, first time on the console version, and here I got beached and had to do it again and again and again and again. I wasn't quite getting a feel for the car, the buggy, in quite the same way as I was on the consoles and PC version. So it does feel different to me to the other versions. I'm going to see when it's docked what it feels like, but it was deeply frustrating. But I fast forwarded those sections just to get over it, and eventually here and now I managed to make it over. But I wasn't feeling it, and on the console version it didn't matter if you didn't have enough speed, or the PC, you could just turn the wheel and get some diagonal traction, whereas on this version you needed a run up to get over it. So it's a different approach altogether basically to the other versions. At least that was my experience there. But in terms of overall straight conversion graphics, it's surprisingly impressive. I mean, it's all there basically. Obviously there's bits and pieces that have been dialed back, but overall it's very good. I just feel that the approach in terms of Switch development is off. You know, I really do feel that if you look at what the Switch needs, simplicity in graphics is good when you have fluidity. You can get rid of a load of texture detail and still have great fluidity there. As long as you can see the contours of the environment, it will feel great. You know, I think that's something which would work better on the handheld. So definitely some fluidity lost, and that was one of the issues with the game anyway, but it was something that we sort of lost here. And I'm going to play it a bit more in the next few days, but my goodness me, it can be challenging sometimes. You see here, you get beached, and it's a grinding engine that just keeps on going. So sometimes you can find yourself just give it some boot, and you get over there, give it some welly. Sometimes not. Now I have to reset here. I don't look like I'm going anywhere. And also it's a bit awkward when you're playing it behind the camera, I might add as well, all this time. So on the console or the PC version, because you have travel in the triggers, you can obviously do a little bit of power, work your way over a rock. You can feel the vehicle to an extent in terms of the traction and what you should be feeling. When you're running here, it's power on or off. But what I was finding is occasionally, because the right stick was so sensitive for me, I was hitting reverse by pulling down on the left stick when I didn't realise it. You know, the vehicle would move in a way I wasn't expecting, and that's because I was letting off the power to let the vehicle roll, but when I was steering, it was subtly going up or down. It's impossible not to do that. So it's certainly something which is an issue for me. But no, just general fluidity. I think it's a decent conversion, but general fluidity is something that doesn't feel as tactile. For me, this should be a very relaxing game on the Switch. I think it's kind of perfect Switch fodder. But what are we missing? Analog control. It would be good if you could set the other stick as being a speed analog control, because the triggers can't manage it. Or perhaps they need to achieve some additional fluidity in terms of how long you press, how long it takes for the revs to work. I don't know. I mean, it's something that the developers would need to work on. But generally speaking, my feeling is, and it happens a lot with sort of these titles, the Nacon titles, is frame rate is the next step forward. And I feel here, as I just moved it close to the camera just to show you guys the detail in the environment. I mean, however you look at it, geometry wise, great geometry there. It's good detail in all, in the vehicle and everything there. I mean, for a handheld, here's me talking about this. 15 years ago, something like this on a handheld would have blown us off planet Earth. I mean, we were happy just to get a retro shoot 'em up, Space Invaders or Snake on your mobile phone. Let alone, here we are now playing a PlayStation 4 game on a handheld, essentially, which is what you have here. It's impressive to see. But at the same time, I do feel that there's a lot that could be done for fluidity. And again, I got a little bit stuck here in terms of getting up this bit of mountain. Oh, this was an absolute pain. I was trying to find a route up there. I couldn't remember the route, and it wasn't going the way I thought it should go. So I thought, well, let's try finding another route. So, and of course, I didn't have any of these problems when I first played it. And then eventually it just went straight up the middle, as you'd expect, which is what I was trying to do in the first place, but it just wouldn't do that at first. And I had no feel for the car. I didn't know why. Deeply frustrating. And then again here, I got a bit stuck, and I wasn't entirely certain where I was going wrong. I'm turning the wheel from side to side, sawing it a bit. I'm trying to get a wheel onto the rock. I'm changing the differential. Oh, goodness me. We finally made it to the top, and then it's to the next section. And then I get up to this next section. I think I can do this now. We're nearly there. Nearly there. And oh my goodness, this isn't going to go well either. And again, I just wasn't getting a feel for the car at all. The buggy, I just wasn't getting a feel for it at all. I was on the PC version. I was really comfortable up these sections, and I was feeling it. I was like, yeah, I'm feeling it. I'm comfortable. And then when it came to this, I just wasn't feeling it at all. I was really thinking, I don't know what to do. Maybe I need to find a different route. So I was trying to find different routes from what I'd originally done. But ultimately, there's one way up there. And we get there in a moment. Again, I thought I'd fast forward a few attempts. So the tutorial, I think, took me about 15 minutes or so on the PC version, but it took me 36 minutes on the as I timed it on the video, doing the Switch version. So more than double the amount of time, just falling off over and over and over again. Oh, this was quite challenging. So I'm going to play more of the Switch version, and I'm going to run a video on it docked mode, as well as obviously a bit more handheld. I just think it's important to see these kinds of games running on a handheld, simply because it's still, for me, it's still a really important sort of thing to remember, that this is a game running on a handheld format. And I think I finally make it. Trying to get up there. Come on, make it. Oh, it is exhausting. No, it's not happening, is it? Come on. This is what happens when you start to get frustrated. Change the differential. Come on. We can do this. Done it. Oh. Trying to work my way up. Next section now. And I'm thinking, oh goodness, no. Please. Please. Please just let me up there. And again, I've lost my rhythm that I had on the PC. On the PC version, I could look at the rock and identify where to place a wheel so that I could get some traction. On the Switch version, I was slightly struggling to see the rocks. And in the end, I was, used a bit of the outside of the course and still fell off. I was like, damn, rolled right in front of the... So, trying to get there, but it just wasn't happening for me. This is it now. We do it now. Come on, let's do this. Use the skills. All right, we're going a bit off the map. That doesn't matter. Whatever, I don't care. Come on, let's make it. Oh, come on. Get me across the line, please. Please. I'm just determined here. I'm thinking, what can we do? Try and change in differential. That's not working. Let's go to, I think we go two-wheel drive. That's got some traction. Yes. Just the rear wheel just caught it. And now let's try changing again. And, we're over. We're over. I need a break. Okay. Let's go again. Let's go again. I was determined, though, to finish this. Alright, so I was like, no, the game will not defeat me. I will defeat the game. I found this 100 times more difficult than the console versions and PC versions. I was finding it more difficult to see where I was going, but that might just be down to my angle. My head was sort of to the side of the screen, so I wasn't playing it as you normally would, facing the screen. Yeah, I just found it more difficult seeing some of the objects and the rocks. Just again, you know, I'm impressed with the geometry and everything that's there. Just leaning, seeing me leaning in, getting around the outside there. Bit of lean, and gets you around. That's it, lovely. And then I completely forgot where I was going. I couldn't see what to do there again. Struggling to see. It's like dark mud and rocks, and I couldn't quite see which rock to place on, so I was just attacking it full on. Normally, the quads, you just attack rocks more directly rather than placing one wheel on. With a buggy, you might hit one wheel and roll it and saw the steering wheel just to give yourself traction by driving diagonally over objects. With the ATV quads, you're much more direct. You want to get your front two wheels directly on an object, put your weight forward and get over it. It's a slightly different approach. Well, that didn't work for him, did it? I mean, these are tricky environments. And then we come to a hill here that's, I couldn't see the rock. I just didn't see it very well. So there was definitely for me some lighting issues there in terms of just seeing where I was going with some of the geometry. And then here I thought this is going to be quite straightforward. It's just a ramp. Can't see why I can't get any kind of traction at all. I'm soaring a little bit to get a wheel onto a rock, but it wasn't happening for me here. Try as I might, it would not happen. And now it was starting to get frustrating. And now I have to fast forward the video because I'm thinking, you know what, you guys aren't going to want to watch 5 minutes of this, which is literally, I think, how long it took to get up the next stage. Here we go. Come on. Oh my goodness. What? So eventually I found out you just need a fast run up. And then we're up. Nearly there. Oh, there's rocks. Oh, goodness me. Rocks. And then eventually there's a tree in the way here. There's a tree. I get to the tree and I'm like, oh, come on. A little bit of reverse, but not too much reverse. I'm reversing the stick there rather than the trigger, just to give me some analog reverse. And, oh, come on. Come on. Right. We've done it. And over the line. My goodness me, we're nearly there. We're nearly at the finish line of this tutorial. It's I never had as nearly the same challenge on the console versions, but we're nearly there, viewers. And so I just make a beeline now to the exit just to finish the tutorial and say I've done it. But this is the open play area. Do check out the preview on the game. Detailed preview. I'll have a card coming up, something. Link to that. You can see a lot more detail on the game. But I'll be coming back to this properly. But I just wanted to share some gameplay on it today. The game's out today. It is challenging. But I don't have a review on this yet. I'm going to need to put a bit more time into it. And I will do in the next couple of weeks. Some more comparison. But that's a completion on this tutorial. Thank goodness we made it. That was a mountain to climb. And there'll be more from me very soon. Hello beautiful, thanks for watching the video today. Hope you enjoyed it. Do like and subscribe, supports what we do. And also check in the description if you want to become a YouTube member or Patreon. Support us in every way possible to get out there and get some awesome content. But that's it. Hope you've enjoyed it. Check out these videos, check out the site, and there'll be more from me very soon.